And a very special thank you to the University of Texas at Dallas for one, everything they do for education in our state, but for another in particular, what they do concerning the devotion to both educating students in the broad area of technology, but also working with the private sector. So we have a public-private sector involvement and engagement to make sure that we as a state and UT Dallas as a university are working in collaboration with our employers, especially in the high-tech arena, to ensure that those employers are going to have access to the very best educated and trained talent in the United States of America. But that's why we're here in a way. We're here in a way to connect the dots between higher education, technology, and in particular, advancements by the state of Texas in the area of semiconductors. And I want to express my gratitude for people who have been involved in helping Texas take this next step. They include speakers here today, which includes Speaker Phelan, Dr. and Representative Greg Bonin, Dr. David Daniel, members of the Texas Semiconductor Innovation Consortium. And I have a note passed on by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who wanted to be here and strongly supports the initiative, but had another obligation and could not be here with us today. But wanted to highlight, as you would recognize, the role that Senator Joan Huffman played in making sure that we got this legislation to the finish line. To be succinct, today is an historic day. It is historic as we announce the Texas Semiconductor Innovation Consortium Executive Committee, as well as detail how the new Texas CHIPS Act keeps Texas in the lead among states in the United States of America for semiconductors. Texas, as many people know, is the birthplace of the semiconductor at Texas Instruments. And we remain the #1 state in America for semiconductors. We're home to the colossal fabs like Samsung and Texas Instruments, in offices of Dell, AMD, Oracle, Tesla, and so many others that are on the cutting edge of using semiconductor elements, especially as they tap into it for purposes of AI or artificial intelligence applications. In Texas, we provide a young, growing, and educated workforce for innovators, as well as unparalleled infrastructure to ship completed chips across the entire world. A lot of people don't know. Texas ranks #1 in the United States for exports of technology for 10 years in a row. We also rank #1 in the United States for exports of semiconductors for 12 years in a row. We are going to use that infrastructure that we have and use it in a way to benefit the semiconductor sector unlike any other state in the country. The Texas CHIPS Act, it creates the Texas Semiconductor Innovation Consortium as well as the Texas Semiconductor Innovation Fund. It will leverage federal CHIPS Act money to promote microchip production. It will tap into the expertise of colleges and universities as we expand workforce training. It will attract public and private investment for the semiconductor industry in Texas. And it will maintain Texas's leadership in semiconductor research, design, and manufacturing. Our future already is filled with microchips, and we are just getting going in that process. They are already in your cars, your watches, your refrigerators, medical devices. Basically everywhere you turn, you are engaged with something that has a microchip in it. That is just going to accelerate in the coming years. With the leadership of Dr. David Daniel and the hard work of the consortium, Texas will lead the way in research, design, and manufacturing of microchips for generations to come. Now I'd like to turn to the Speaker of the House, Dave Phelan.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, UT Dallas, Dr. Daniels, everyone for being here. I told it was a chip party, and the governor was supposed to bring queso. I brought boudin dip. It goes well with chips as well. But hey, he talked about the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. We are number one in manufacturing in this nation. We're number one in exports in this nation. We're number two in jobs, 45,000 jobs here in Texas. And we're not satisfied with being number two. And that's why we have the CHIPS Act, and that's why we have this consortium. We want to be number one in jobs too, and we will be. I want to thank the partners in higher education who are here. You're a vital piece of this consortium, and as we go forward, the blueprint for the future of Texas and this industry. $1.4 billion, I believe, Dr. Bonham, has appropriated this past cycle specifically for this purpose. I got to meet Dr. Lynn from Beaumont, Texas. I represent Lamar University. Dr. Lynn, thank you for being here. Universities across the state of Texas will benefit from what we did this past session. I also want to thank Senator Cornyn and Congressman McCall for what they did at the national level, realizing what's going on between China and Taiwan. That is not a mistake. Whoever controls the chips controls the future of this world, and Texas needs to control the future of this world when it comes to this technology. This is about national security. It truly is. There's a reason why you couldn't buy a car for a year at one point, just a couple years ago, because they have about 1,000 chips in them. We need those jobs. We need that technology right here in the state of Texas. Dr. Bonin, I appreciate Dr. Bonin and his efforts. He led the charge in the House, of course, Ms. Huffman in the Senate, and the whole legislature and the governor, and the governor's appointment to the consortium, and my appointments. Thank you all for being here. This is the future of Texas. We're sending a very clear message that Texas is not going to, we're not satisfied being the leader in this nation. We want to be the global leader in this technology, and it starts today. So it's a beautiful day here in Dallas, beautiful day at UT Dallas. Thank you again for having us, and I'm really looking forward to the future of this industry. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Dr. Greg Bonin.
Thank you, Governor. And I want to thank the Speaker for his leadership, which was unwavering on what is really an issue not only important to Texas, but it's important to the United States of America. We went into session understanding that at the international level, we have a vulnerability when it comes to the manufacture and production of semiconductors. And Texas is the leader in this area. Our federal partners made a huge investment to try to address what was a real strategic concern in addition to an economic concern. And that's what led to the formation of the Texas CHIPS Act. And when you look at what we did in the last session with the governor and the speaker and the lieutenant governor, there were huge steps that were taken forward. The whole idea here is that, yes, we lead the nation, but are we doing the best that we can? And the answer is we can do better. And that's why we put this organization together to form a strategic plan to look at our strengths, our weaknesses, the opportunities that we have, and also the challenges that we face. And having a strategic plan, we will then be able to go into future legislative sessions knowing what action items the legislature needs to make. And so often we have people doing really amazing work in this state, but maybe they're not communicating. Maybe they're siloed or working in parallel. And they can come together and find synergies that make everyone stronger and everyone better. So I'm really excited about the work that this group is going to do, because this is a beginning, and what we'll end up with is an organized, focused plan for the semiconductor industry and research and training in the state of Texas. We have some of the most expert leaders in the world in this state when it comes to the private sector and when it comes to higher education, and to have them partnering and sitting together in the same room thinking about how we keep Texas and the United States of America number one is an awesome thing. Again, I thank the Speaker and Governor Abbott for your leadership and your support on this, and it is a great day in the state of Texas.
Thank you very much. And now, Dr. David Daniel.
Thank you, Governor Abbott. First of all, thank you very much for appointing me to the Executive Committee of the Texas Semiconductor Innovation Consortium. I want to thank my fellow committee members standing behind us all for selecting me as their chair. It really is a privilege to work with such a distinguished group of individuals. I also want to thank the Governor's Office of Economic Development and Tourism, and specifically the Executive Director, Adriana Cruz, for their support as this committee gets going. They've already done a ton of work to help us roll out smoothly and quickly. I, too, thank the University of Texas at Dallas for hosting this event. It's an extraordinary institution with superb research, education, and a commitment to support the North Texas semiconductor enterprise and the broader community as a whole. One of the characteristics of this industry that strikes me is its complexity and the fact that it's such a globally competitive industry. The complexity is in part technical, advanced materials, research, design, nanoscale measurements, machine learning, just huge numbers of complexities. But at the same time, there are other key elements like supply logistics and work that touch everyone, not just the geeky scientists in the clean room such as the ones behind us. In other words, the work we're doing, I think, has the potential to touch everyone's lives. And as was mentioned, semiconductors, Governor, are part of everything. Our phones, our watches, which just adds to the complexity in terms of manufacturing chips to meet needs that cover the full spectrum of microelectronics, an amazing array of usages, and even the way semiconductors are assembled or packaged turns out to be extremely important as to their utility. And on top of all that, success cannot be achieved without exceptional people. Exceptional people from PhD level to technician and everything in between. We know that Texas has the people to succeed today because we are succeeding, but as these industries grow in Texas, we're going to need thousands, maybe tens of thousands of additional Texans contributing to the success of the semiconductor research and manufacturing enterprise. And we'll need to figure out how we're going to meet those specific job needs in order to make this vision a reality. So I think one of the challenges for the Executive Committee will be to recognize these myriad of contributors to this ecosystem and figure out strategically how we can take the resources that the legislature has made available to us and put them to work in a way that maximizes the benefits for Texas and Texans and helps us build the future that we all want to see. I would just say that I'm very excited about the opportunity to do that, particularly in light of the enormous expertise represented in the group of people behind me. I mentioned that this is a complex enterprise. Well, this group of people has expertise in the details of almost every element of that enterprise, and also the years of experience to see and understand the big picture so that the dollars are invested wisely. The Executive Committee's next steps are to meet this afternoon right after lunch and get to work. Our key action items are hiring an executive director, developing criteria for deciding on which projects we're going to fund, and working collaboratively with our consortium members to develop a strategic plan so that the investments will be consistent, logical, and effective, and will lay the groundwork, hopefully, for many years in the future to help us succeed. We know that the competition is keen, but the Executive Committee is committed to moving forward as quickly as possible and doing our best to help Texas win. Thank you, Governor Abbott.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Daniel, for your expertise and your leadership here. And in a way, I realize today is a beginning as you have your first meeting and you go about the process to implement everything passed by the legislature. But also realize you're getting a running start. Because Texas does have such a leadership position in this, not just nationally but internationally, and because we have both a massive hub for semiconductor manufacturing and shipping, as well as the technology that goes into it, and because the advanced platform that Texas is operating on. It ensures that, you mentioned the word competition, ensures that Texas will not only be competitive, but will succeed in that competition, whether we're competing against other states or other countries. Because we know, as Dr. Bonner put it very profoundly, we know what is at stake in this race. And what we will do is ensure that we win this race. Thank you all very much.